New season with so many new items means there are a ton of new builds that are really flying under the radar right now, and we'll be bringing 10 of them to you guys in today's video. And if you guys want to stay ahead of the meta for Season 16, then SkillCapped is the place to be. We've got a new course for this year that our Challenger players will be working on, and it revolves around keeping you up to date with all the new meta trends. As soon as we discover something new, you can expect a video to go live within that course, breaking down exactly what we found. Whether it be a new build, strategy, or rune setup, SkillCapped subscribers will be the first to know with access to this course. On top of this, we've got our weekly commentaries where our Challenger experts walk you through how to carry out of the exact rank you're stuck in. We always upload 10 brand new commentaries each week focused on covering the best champions in meta. And then, of course, you'll get access to our entire catalog of premium courses, so you'll be mastering wave control, vision, trading, and macro in no time. And the best part of it all is that we offer a 5-division rank-up guarantee. Climb at least 5 divisions while actively using SkillCapped or get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the top right corner of the screen or in the description below to get ahead of everyone else for Season 16. So, we're a bit surprised that this build is still so underplayed, but Dusk and Dawn Mordekaiser is one of the most powerful new builds for Season 16. The reason the item works so well on the champion is because the passive from Dusk and Dawn applies on-hit effects twice after using a spell and then attacking. So, all you've got to do to get your passive procced with Mord is a simple Q into auto. The faster you get your passive procced with Mord, the more DPS you'll have and the better sticking power you'll have as well. With passive active, it will be providing you with the Rylai's slow, so a Dusk and Dawn rush into Rylai's second is very powerful core on Mordekaiser. There's also some players experimenting with Dusk and Dawn into experimental Hexplate second, which is going to provide a ton of attack speed. If you really just want to play for the side lane on Mord, then going for Dusk and Dawn into Hexplate is a great idea. If team fighting is something you think you'll be doing more of though, then the value from Rylai's shoots up a ton. So all in all, a couple different variations of Mordekaiser builds that you can try for Season 16 depending on what your game plan is. With Riot providing Varus with more damage on W for this patch, top lane on hit is an S tier setup. We covered this build on our website about a week ago, and it consists of a Dusk and Dawn rush into Nashor's second. The reason this setup works so well is because of the fact Dusk and Dawn allows Varus to press the attack in just 2 autos, and also get 2 instant stacks of W passive whenever he autos after using an ability. So the overall burst threat and short trade pattern with this Dusk and Dawn rush is insane. If you just E into 2 auto attacks, then you have press the attack procced and W fully stacked, so when you follow it up with empowered Q, it will deal a ton of burst, and if playing into melee top laners, you can bully them extremely hard with this combo. Not only does the build provide great DPS, but the fact you get health from Dusk and Dawn is amazing for Varus top lane. It's likely you're going to be playing against melee bruisers who want to run you down, so the health gives you a bit more margin for error if your positioning isn't perfect. There's a new item that you'll want to be playing on Nocturne for 26.2, and it's Bastion Breaker. So Bastion Breaker is a really good third pickup for Nocturne because it fits his style of play incredibly well. A lot of the time, your goal with Nocturne is to shadow a teammate who's side laning, and then if they get engaged on, you counter with R. If that counter is successful and you pick up a few kills, then your ability to transition those kills into turrets is amazing with Bastion Breaker. Whenever you get a takedown with the item, you then get an empowered auto the next time you hit a tower. So picking someone off in the side lane and then grabbing a tower after that is so much easier with this item. So it's a lethality core that you'll want to try with an Axiom Arc rush into Profane Hydra second and Bastion Breaker third. With ADCs becoming more powerful for Season 16, playing a more supportive jungler like Ivern is actually really powerful. Not only has Ivern become better due to the new role quest providing ADC with more power, but there's a build that's making him super broken. Sona is running this build right now, and she's the most OP support, while Ivern can also look to take Echoes of Helia into Whispering Circlet as his core build. The reason this build works so well is because of the mass amount of healing it can provide for your team. And it's even better on Ivern than it is for Sona because of the fact that Ivern has more damage potential in fights. With Daisy active, you're going to be stacking up the Echoes of Helia proc really fast, as the more damage you deal, the quicker you get the heal proc. So when you factor in the constant shields from Ivern E along with all this healing from Echoes of Helia and Whispering Circlet, you're able to keep your carries extremely safe in fights. With the ADC item changes for Season 16, there's a new rush item that has become great for Uxin. Stormrazor is back on Uxin, and it's outperforming everything else in his first item slot. The energized proc that you get from Stormrazor just feels incredible. Of course, the damage is great, but the fact that you get 45% movement speed for 1.5 seconds is just so OP. The additional chase and kite power that this proc provides is amazing for Uxin. A huge benefit to going Stormrazor over Static Shiv is the fact that Stormrazor provides crit. Since crit damage was increased this season, it makes going for Stormrazor over Shiv that much better. Getting to 75% crit on 3 items is going to provide you with a massive mid-game spike, as you want Infinity Edge second and Lord Dom's third. You want to make sure you're taking cashback and runes to get the most out of this setup, because hitting your IE spikes as fast as possible is really key, and cashback helps to enable that. So even though Azir as a whole isn't the best solo queue champion right now, there is a build that on its own is turning him into a viable pick. Dusk and Dawn is a phenomenal item on Azir for this season, but not many players are running it. Second item is where Dusk and Dawn is slotting slotting in and winning a ton, while Nashor's Tooth remains your rush item. This Dusk and Dawn with Nashor's combo is just so good because with Dusk and Dawn's passive, you apply on-hit effects twice, and since Nashor's Tooth has an on-hit passive of its own, that damage proc is doubled because of Dusk and Dawn. Now, there really aren't many players at all taking this rune setup, so we can't say for sure if it's optimal, but Press the Attack has a ton of potential on Azir when running this build. As we mentioned when covering the Varus setup earlier on in the video, if you have Dusk and Dawn, then you can proc PTA in just 2 auto attacks. So you have some nice quick burst potential by going Press the Attack on Azir and running this build. So this next section of the video isn't going to be a build for a specific champion, and instead, a rune page you need to be taking on all your ADCs. Cashback is by far the best rune for ADCs this season, and not every champ is taking advantage of it yet. We are seeing Cashback played a decent amount on MF, Aphelios, Yannara, and Zeri, but other than that, all other ADCs are taking Cashback less than 40% of the time. So why do you need to run Cashback on all your ADCs for Season 16? Well, there's a few reasons. First is that since crit damage got increased from 175 to 200%, getting to as much crit as possible as early as possible is really key to maximizing DPS. You also have another item slot for ADCs this season, which means the value from Cashback is just better than on any other role. And because ADCs gain 300 gold on their quest completion, running Cashback in addition to that is going to allow you to get your mid-game item spikes way faster than in previous seasons. Item spikes are so crucial for ADCs, even more so than other roles, because the majority of them are only valuable if they can output damage, so Cashback is a must for Season 16. There's a new build going around on Lucian for this season, and it revolves around dropping Flicker Blades from your core. Flicker Blades is going to be replaced by Storm Razor in the second item slot to offer up a ton of upfront burst power. Essence Reaver now providing the Sheen proc and Storm Razor giving you the energized attack makes this core incredibly bursty, especially if you're paired up with Nami as your support and she throws her E on you with Imperial Mandate procking. You're going to instantly assassinate any squishy champion you catch out. Your extended fight power won't be quite as potent due to missing Flicker Blades, so where this build would be most optimal is if the enemy team lacks bruisers or tanks. If you are into a tankier enemy comp, then taking Flicker Blades still makes a lot of sense, but if the entire enemy comp is built up of squishy champions, then you don't need Flicker Blades and can instead run Storm Razor. A build that is going to become a lot stronger on many melee supports for 26.2 consists of slotting in Protoplasm Harness. So with Bandle Pipes getting nerfed, Protoplasm Harness as a rush item on melee supports is going to gain in relative power. Leona is one of the best Protoplasm users because she's a champion who needs to be diving into the thick of things to be most effective. You can't just sit in the outskirts of a fight and get the most out of Leona. So by rushing Protoplasm Harness, it provides a mass amount of tankiness so that she can dive in more aggressively. 600 health and the Lifeline passive is going to provide so much additional survivability for Leona, and if you also go for Celestial Opposition as your item upgrade, then you're going to be incredibly obnoxious for burst champs on the enemy team. Your second item in the build can either be Bandle Pipes or Locket, depending on if you want more offensive or defensive power. If the enemy team has more squishy burst champs, then additional damage isn't as necessary, and therefore going more defensive with Locket is great. If the enemy team is more tanky though, then having added DPS from Bandle Pipes is more valuable. Nami has a new optimal build for Season 16, as in the past, you could kind of build anything for your second item as long as you rushed Mandate, but Echoes of Helia is heavily outperforming this year as Nami's second item. You still rush Mandate, but going into Echoes of Helia second is great. Echoes of Helia got changed this season so that there's more power in the heal in exchange for the passive no longer dealing damage. In order to proc this heal and for it to be the most powerful, you need to be dealing damage to champions. The previous version of Helia just gave you a set amount of soul shards when dealing damage, while this new one gives you shards based on 35% of your pre-mitigation damage. So in other words, the more damage you can deal, the stronger the heals will be coming out of Helia, and since Nami is an enchanter who can deal more damage than most other enchanters, she's been excelling with the item this year. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So there you have it everyone, those are 10 new builds that are still pretty underrated, but really powerful for 26.2 that you can look to play in solo queue. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.